I didn't even plug this in. I had to start. I didn't even. Mic check, mic check. All right, everybody. I'm super excited to launch this year's series of the Mo or Less podcast. I'm excited to be here with you guys on this morning. And just to jump in what God has called me to do, I kind of just hit live and just decided to go in. So I wanted to do a live episode to start off the year with. Hopefully you guys can hear me loud and clear. If you guys are watching online, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that share button. If you're watching this later, just give me a thumbs up in the chat. Give me a thumbs up in the comments. Let me know that you can hear me loud and clear. I'm super excited to be sharing with you guys the vision for the year. I've been launching Homebuyer Academy, and this year, God has some great things in store. So I have a new series that I'll be talking about for the fullness of the year called Land Acquisition. We're gathering land, whatever you want to do. The land framework is the key for you to have success in 2026. I feel like there's a great call in this space. And as I can see already in the marketplace, there's a lot of shifting happening in real estate, a lot of shifting happening in the marketplace. And I believe that God is calling a lot of us as believers to marketplace ministry. And so this is me making my stance here to do the things of God in the kingdom, for the kingdom in the marketplace. We need a voice everywhere. It's good to have a church, it's good to have outreach, but sometimes people are called into places that most, I'll say, believers don't really know how to navigate. And for that being the marketplace here. So land, what is the land framework? The land framework stands for legacy, assets, networking, and discipline. And today's episode, not only am I going to be unpacking land, but I'm going to be talking about exactly how we start from ground zero. I titled this episode Ground Zero for Generational Wealth because we all have to start somewhere. And the scripture that comes to mind in Proverbs 13 and 22, that tells us a good man leaves an inheritance for his children and his children's children. Excuse me. Sorry. So the new year has started. And we're all in this space where we want to do things different. It's like the best time to give yourself the okay, to changing things up, to do something different, to start over. Right now, for example, health-wise, I decided to cut out sugar, refined sugar, added sugar. I know fruits and stuff have sugar in it, and there's things that have natural sugars, which is totally okay, but I'm intentionally cutting out the extra stuff to stay focused on my health because, I'm on the latter side of 30. I'm just turning 36, and being a single father of three, you start looking at life a little differently as you get older. And so I'm doing anything I can and everything I can possible to strengthen my relationship with God, strengthen my relationship with my kids, and build a strong foundation for their future. If I were to go tomorrow, do I have things in place? Yes, I do. But my question for you is, if you were gone tomorrow, do you have things in place? If not, that's okay. If you lock in with this series, we will guarantee you that you will have things in place for the remainder of the year. Some things that we have going on. I've built a network of strong connections in the real estate space. Even more so, my sister, who's a lawyer, I talk about that often. She's actually a probate attorney now. So she does a lot of things in the legal space, but more so, we're getting those connections as far as establishing estates, real estate, trust, things of that nature. And so those are some of the partnerships that we're building up now. I have partners in the insurance space. I have a lot of great partners, especially in the Orlando area, that work with life insurance, work with securing your assets and things of that nature. So my thing is to be a catalyst for all these resources for you. I'm giving you free game and free knowledge so you can acquire these things to secure your family's future. And we saw Homebuyer Academy, our first episode of the year. Me and my brother, we was talking about why in our community, in the African American community, we struggle with doing the necessary things for the long term goals, right? And we were talking about how a lot of families, when someone passes, they go, they go into fight mode to be honest, to acquire the house, to acquire that family member's assets, when they could have just had a trust, um, will set in place, uh, insurance set in place to cover the family's needs while they're building their wealth. But we just don't have the information. And as the scripture says, my people perish for a lack of knowledge. So my key here today and for this series is to show you exactly what I do currently, what I've done, what my family does to secure my family's future. I'm talking about putting your home in the right vehicles, talking about positioning your family to have an estate plan, talking about acquiring life insurance that will secure your children's future, talking about investing long term, all these things. Now, there's some things I'm areas like real estate, budgeting, money management that I consider myself to be an expert in. Then there's areas like investing in other areas where I rely on my resources and other educators that teach me. I know the information. I want to call myself an expert, but I feel very confident in my knowledge of those areas. But if I can learn it, so can you. That's how easy it is. So I want you guys, first and foremost, again, if you hear me loud and clear, give me a thumbs up in the chat. I want you to comment in the chat as well that this is my year if you're watching this live. So this is your year to establish land. This is your year to establish land. If you're just now joining in, we're talking about my series this year called The Land Framework. And the Land Framework, again, stands for legacy, what you're establishing for your generation, for your children's children, assets, how to acquire different assets so you can grow your money long term. And then networking, how to leverage your community. One thing that I'm working on more now, and it's changed my life, is networking and acquiring a strong network of people to build up what God has called me to do. Like I said, I'm not an expert in the life insurance space, but because I have people in those areas, they have taught me and shown me how to acquire assets in that space. That's something that you can learn too. You know, in the real estate space, I'm still learning and growing in that space, but now I'm learning about various things that will eventually bless my family financially long term. And so that's what I'm here to do. As I'm learning and as I'm growing and I'm teaching, I'm showing you all exactly how easy it is to acquire those things. But it takes the last part, which is discipline. Discipline is the consistency to push through, the consistency to gather information, the consistency to study and learn. Some of us give up too soon on our goals. Some of us give up too soon on what God has called us to do because we don't see the fruit yet. But can I assure you of something? When God calls you to something, when He plants that seed in you, know what happens when the seed gets planted? First, it has to get watered and nurtured. And then the roots start to dig in. The roots start to found. But what happens for a lot of us is while those roots are forming, it has to push through the dirt. So it has to fight through. So when you're going through that fight, it gets exhausting, it gets tiring, it gets overwhelming. And we don't wait for the roots to take shape. We don't wait for the roots to take form to see what blossoms, to see what peeks out the ground. And once it peeks out the ground and starts to blossom, then the fruit of it starts to grow. And I quoted this the other day, but I was watching this podcast and Lecrae said something so profound. He said, you can cut an apple open and you can count how many seeds in there. But if you plant the seeds, you don't know how many apples that seed is going to make. And so we're so quick to discount what that seed can do that we don't even nurture it. And we go to the next thing. We try to plant another seed and we don't even nurture that. And so we have this cycle of seed planting that we never nurture when we can just focus on what God called us to plant, the seed that God called us to plant, let it nurture, let it grow, and watch what God does. And God can grow that to a mighty tree that will have fruit, that will bear fruit again and again and again, just from the seed that was planted. And so I want you guys to lock in with me. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let us position ourselves to do what God has called us to do in 2026. This is your year to set on course and establish something prosperous for your family's future. We got to break out the old mindset of prosperity. God doesn't want us to be in lack. There's many scriptures, as I've taught about and I will teach about. People quick to say, it's harder for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich person to access the kingdom of heaven. Well, I'll counter that with this. If you start off with God, if you seek ye first the kingdom of heaven and his righteousness, all these things will be added unto you. So if you start with God and he brings the wealth to you, you're probably not going to leave, right? But if you're like that rich person that started without God, yeah, it might be hard for you to come into the kingdom. But we're starting with God. Notice the difference? All right. So I want you guys to lock in with me in 2026. We're going to transform our lives and transform our family's future one day at a time. Thank you guys. God bless you and catch you on the next episode.